Hey, this is the McGuire Review, and today we're going to be taking a look at Epic Roll. And this is coming to us from Summon Entertainment, ages 14 plus, 2 to 3 players, and 15 to 20 minutes on this one. It's very much a dice rolling push your luck game. So let's take a look really quick at the components that we've got. This right here is the base game. What we have over here is an expansion. I'll talk about that here in a minute. An expansion they had at Gen Con this year, which adds a whole other layer on the game. But if we look at just the main components, we've got our rule book here. Rule book is very straightforward. It is just one open page and a back. Gameplay is very straightforward, very simple. You can probably read through this in a matter of a couple minutes and you're up and running. So what we'll find out front here are the cards in the game, and I'll pick up a few of those just to show you here. And you can see here on these cards, you've got various different actions that you can take. So for instance, this one here allows you to counter. So if you're able to pick that up, you can counter the action of another player. You do have a little bit of that kind of screw your buddy over that's built into the game. This one here allows you to actually get another hit. This one here allows you to heal. And this one here allows you to get an extra defense. And those are the 4 cards that are included in the game. And then you're going to notice we've got various dice, one for each one of the character heroes in this game. This game is a 2 to 3 person game. It is not a 4-person game. It is a 2 to 3 person game. You don't find a lot of games out there on the market that actually are just 2 to 3, but this one is, and it's specifically designed for that. You have a wizard, a warrior, and an elf. There are 2 black die with green writing. One of those is going to actually indicate what's going to happen on your storyline here when you get to the various areas of this track. And the other one is going to be the combat die for the monster. You also will have black die with gold writing and a little white die with a silver star on it. And that's actually going to come into play here once you get past what they consider the level up area of the game. Then your last die is going to be a black die with a single purple on 2 of the sides star, and that is going to be the extra ability or a heal ability for the Lich King here that you will fight at the end. That's one thing I really like about this game, is it's got an extra component to it where you're not just pushing your luck and trying to be the first one to get to the end of this string, but you're also trying to defeat this boss that's at the end. And I think that's a really, really cool mechanic, because we found as we played this game, you know, you might have someone that gets very, very quickly to the end, but they just keep battling that lich that
over and over and over and over
again, and maybe someone else has enough time to kind of catch up and even take the win before anyone else can. So it's a little bit of an extra component to the game that I thought balanced very well. I'll also say that each one of the characters in the game are balanced well. If you look at the wizard actually has more of the double attack. So the wizard gives a little bit more of extra attack when he rolls. And if we look at our warrior has a shield, where the wizard didn't have the shield. So the warrior has the ability to actually block and stop damage coming in from an enemy that they may be battling. And the warrior also has a double hit and single hits as well. Now the special thing about the elf is the elf on every single side of the die either hits or blocks. So the elf is constantly like dodging and defending against the incoming damage from any of the enemies, as well as always getting off hits here and there. Now, there is one special ability that each one of your wizard, warrior, and elf will get once they get to this middle area of the track, which is the level up area. You'll notice there's a different colored gem for each one of the characters. All that does is be able to mark where you are on the track as you move towards the Lich. And down here below, they include 2 clear markers. One of them here is just to indicate the life of each one of the heroes, and the other one is to indicate what type of monster you're going to be battling. So I'll show you how that works. So let's say that I was the wizard here, and I've already got my gem on the first point of my storyline, my top storyline here that aligns to my wizard. The first thing that I'm going to do, at the beginning of your turn, you're going to want to make sure that your little marker is all the way up on 6. So every time you go, your hero has a max of 6 life, and that will move down as you battle. And after you kill a monster, if you do one on your turn, you can then push your luck and choose to move to the second storyline point in your storyline towards the dreaded Lich. That's what they actually call it in this game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this green die. Now you're going to use the green die that's got the various monster names on it, the black with green letters, until you hit this middle level up area. So I'm going to roll that die, and that's going to give me my encounter. It's a ghoul. So now on this side, I'm actually going to take the marker and I'm going to move that to a ghoul, which has 4 life. Now that's the monster that I'm going to be battling for this storyline point. I'm then going to set that die aside. I'm going to pick up my combat die, and I'm going to pick up the other black die that has the green on it. Now again, the black die with the green is what you use before the midway point. After the midway point, which is considered being leveled up, you will then use the black die with the gold lettering. It's just a little bit of a harder challenge for the heroes. So I'm going to roll those 2 die, and I get a hit from the monster and a nothing, just a complete miss on my end. So what happens is I'm going to go ahead and move my health down 1. I'm going to go again. All right, it hit me 1 more time, but I hit the ghoul at the same time. So you'll see that the combat is simultaneous in the way that it works. And I'm going to keep going and going and going until either I'm dead or the ghoul is dead. Now, at a certain point in time, as I move down through this health track, I may decide, hey, I want to retreat. And that's something that this game does allow you to do. You can retreat, and if you choose to retreat, all you would do is roll 1 of the monster dies, and you would take that damage, and then you'd be able to retreat and stay where you are. Because what happens is, until you hit that middle point, let's say that we won this battle, and we moved to the second point, and we thought, no, you know what, I'm only down, let's just say it ended, and we went ahead and killed the ghoul. The ghoul is now dead, and I'm down to 4 health. Well, I'm down to 4 out of 6. I've got enough to keep pushing my luck. So I'm going to go ahead and stay in, and I'm going to go to story point number 2. It's still my turn. I decided to stay in. I now would then roll my encounter die again. I would see, oh, this time I'm fighting a mummy. Well, a mummy is the weakest monster on the board with only 3 health. Okay, perfect. That's good. I'm going to pick up that green die again. I'm going to pick up my blue die, and now I'm going to roll them both again. And I'm going to continue that until as far as I want to go. But let's say that I make it all the way. Let's say I get really, really lucky, and in one turn I make it all the way to that 3rd story point, right before I'm ready to level up. And let's say on that 3rd story point, I die. My health counter reaches 0, and I die before I beat the monster. What happens is, and this is where the push your luck comes in, I actually have to go all the way back to the beginning. It's not I get to stay there. It's not I get to go 1 back. I have to go all the way back to the beginning. So that can really suck if you're on like a really good run and you're really close to that level up and you chose to keep going and not just sit. If you die, you go all the way back. Now, if you choose to beat a monster or 2 and say, okay, I've only got 1 health or 2 health left, I'm done. I'm going to stay. Then you get to stay right there, and then it's the next player's turn. And you might be thinking, where do the cards come in? So as you move along your storyline and you defeat monsters, every time you defeat a monster, you get to claim 1 card. You can only hold a max of 2 of these at a time. So if you ever get to the point where you're going to pull that 3rd one, you either have to use one of them that is in your hand immediately or discard. But you get to pull that card, and you get to keep that card, and you keep that card secret. Now, again, as we looked at earlier, and just the top 2 here for an example, the card that I pulled was the counter card. This would be a card that I would actually play when it was someone else's turn. So let's say it was someone else's turn and they wanted to lay down, an extra hit or a defense. I can say, there you go. You're not going to get the defense. You're not going to get that extra hit. I'm countering that. Now, counter cards can be countered. So if they have another counter card, they can counter it back. And that's happened a couple times in playing this game with some friends, and it's been a lot of fun. Back to our gameplay example. Let's say that we made it all the way to the middle of this track, which they consider now being leveled up. And now it went around the table already, and it was my turn again. And I moved on to the first story point after that level up. Now, you're not going to use these black with the green letter dies any longer. You're now going to use the black with the gold coloring, and you're going to use the white with the little silver star. The white with the little silver star allows your character to activate a special power if it lands on one of the 2 sides that have that gold star. And every character is different. So for the wizard, if you get that, you can actually block one of the other dice that come from the enemy. Now, when you're battling the enemy, that's only going to be one other die. But when you get to the dreaded lich, that's going to add in his purple die as well, and you can also block that. For the warrior, it's going to allow you to heal 1. For the elf, it's going to allow you to actually hit for 1. So it's a nice little added component that activates after you get past the midway point. It makes it a little bit more fun. It's a little extra something they added into the game for an extra little mechanic, and I do really like it. Now, let's say you're lucky enough to get all the way to the dreaded lich. It does take quite a few good rolls to get that dreaded lich all the way down to 0 from 9. So that epic battle takes just a little bit longer than what a normal battle for one of the other monsters takes, and everybody else around the table kind of watches and hopes that you basically lose and die during that battle. Because again, if you lost here, if you did not escape, you would have to go all the way back to the midway point. Now, if you've made it past the midway point, you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning, but you do have to go back to that midway point. So it's an important strategy as you battle the dreaded lich to know when to retreat and get out of that battle. Otherwise, you're going to get knocked all the way back to the midway point, and if there's anyone else that's out ahead of you, you may have just lost, kind of shot it for yourself and being able to take the win for that game. So what I want to do now is just let you kind of look at this board, and I'll have pictures here up close when we're done, but they did a really nice job with this board. It's a very small, kind of bends, folds up in the middle, very small form factor, but just great art on the board. I really like the colors. You can see each one of the characters here, the midway points. You can see the health down here. You can see the monster track here and our dreaded lich. And I'll show you that here, and again, we'll have some nice pictures here at the end that get a little bit closer up on that board so you can really see that fantastic artwork that they had put on the board. The last component that we have here, and this is something that they did have at Gen Con, was a special expansion pack, and it's called the Veteran Game. And what this does is it adds an extra layer of complexity to the base game. So again, the base game is nothing more than push your luck, roll, try to get to the dreaded lich first, and kill the dreaded lich. And it really is just, do I want to move? Do I roll? That's the base game. But again, just in that, it's a ton of fun. So when they added in this extra layer for what they call the Veteran Game, they add these large character cards for each one of the characters, which I thought was really, really cool. And on the back side, they've got some nice flavor text for each one of the characters. They've got the race, the class, the type of attack, the actual alignment. All 3 of these are aligned good, and I could see them coming out with some more expansions where they add more characters. Each character, and I'll use our elf here. It gives the elf's name, the type of class. They're a hunter. It actually indicates that every time that you roll your special ability, it's no longer just the simple game rule of, oh, I hit 1, or I heal 1, or I can negate one of the other die. They actually have a full ability that each one of those characters have that's different for each one of them. They have a passive and an active ability, which means at all times, each one of these characters has a passive ability that's always in play, always activated, and then they got this active ability. You can actually use that once per round, and all you do is kind of tap that card sideways to show that you've actually activated that special ability. That's Epic Roll by Summon Entertainment. Guys, great job on this. I cannot wait to see future expansions. I know they've got a lot set up for the future, a lot of different gameplay mechanics they want to continue to build upon this system. I think they've done a great job with this style of game. Hit that like below, click to subscribe. This has been the McGuire Review, and I'll see you guys next time.